It's midnight when I hear my daughter screaming at her mother through our paper-thin walls. I'm elbow-deep in a '69 Barracuda engine, wondering why it sounds like my marriage, clunky, full of secrets, and ready to break down at any moment. You think I don't know about him? Becca's voice cuts through the garage like a rusty blade. At least Nate treats you like a woman. Dad's just a garage monkey who can't even keep his own wife. I freeze, wrench in hand, oil dripping onto my boots. 23 years of marriage, and this is how I find out. Through my own daughter's tantrum. My name is Jack Morrison, and I've been fixing broken things my whole life. Cars, motorcycles, lawnmowers, anything with an engine. But apparently, I can't fix whatever's wrong with Alyssa and me. The shouting stops. I hear footsteps, doors slamming, the familiar sound of my family falling apart in real time. I wipe my hands on an old rag and walk toward the house, each step feeling like I'm approaching a crime scene. Alyssa sits at our kitchen table, still in her expensive lawyer suit, scrolling through her phone like nothing happened. She doesn't look up when I enter. Long day at the office? I ask, keeping my voice steady. The usual. She finally glances at me, her green eyes cold as January. You're dirty. Occupational hazard. I grab a bottle of water from the fridge. Becca seemed upset. She'll get over it. Alyssa stands, smoothing her skirt. I'm going to bed. She walks past me without another word, without even a goodnight kiss. We used to kiss every night, even during our worst fights. Now she treats me like furniture, useful, but invisible. I stay downstairs, nursing my water and thinking about what Becca said. Nate. The name rings a bell. Nathaniel Pierce, some hotshot real estate developer who's been sniffing around Alyssa's law firm. I met him once at a company barbecue. Slick hair, expensive watch, the kind of guy who calls everyone buddy and means it as an insult. The next morning, Alyssa leaves early for a client meeting. She's been having a lot of those lately. I wait until her BMW disappears around the corner, then head upstairs to our bedroom. Her tablet sits on the nightstand, charging. Alyssa's always been careless with technology, never bothering with passwords or privacy settings. She thinks I'm too stupid to figure out her devices. I tap the screen. It opens to her messages. The first few are work-related, boring legal jargon about contracts and depositions. Then I see it, a thread with N that makes my stomach twist into knots. Can't wait to see you tonight. Same place? Always. Jack's working late again. He never suspects anything. Poor guy. Maybe we should tell him. Not yet. I need more time to figure things out. Whatever you want, beautiful. You know I'm crazy about you. I scroll up, finding weeks of messages. Hotel room numbers, meeting times, intimate details that make me want to punch holes in the drywall. The most recent message is from last night. Thanks for an amazing evening. You're incredible. Sent at 11:47 p.m., right before Becca started yelling. I set the tablet down carefully, fighting the urge to throw it against the wall. Instead, I grab my jacket and head to my garage. Work helps me think, and right now, I need to think very clearly. Rico Martinez owns the boxing gym downtown where I used to train. He's also the only friend I trust completely. I call him from my office phone. Jack? What's wrong? You sound terrible. Can you meet me for coffee? I need advice. Give me 20 minutes. We meet at Mel's Diner, a greasy spoon that's been serving burnt coffee and gossip for 40 years. Rico slides into the booth across from me, his weathered face creased with concern. Alyssa's cheating on me, I say without preamble. Rico doesn't act surprised. How long have you known? Since last night. But you already knew, didn't you? He sighs. Rumors, mostly. People talk. I didn't want to be the one to tell you. What kind of rumors? The usual. Seen around town with some pretty boy developer, fancy restaurants, hotel parking lots. Nothing concrete, until now. I tell him about the messages, about Becca's outburst, about the cold shoulder treatment I've been getting for months. Rico listens without interrupting, occasionally nodding or shaking his head. "What are you going to do?" he asks finally. I don't know yet. Part of me wants to confront her directly. The other part wants to gather more evidence first. Smart, man. Never go into a fight without knowing your opponent's weaknesses. Rico leans forward. But Jack, be careful. Alyssa's a lawyer. She knows how to twist situations to her advantage. She also thinks I'm an idiot. Then use that. Let her underestimate you while you figure out your next move. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I drive home with Rico's words echoing in my head. Alyssa's car is in the driveway, which surprises me. She usually works late on Wednesdays. I find her in the living room, pacing and talking on her phone. She sees me and quickly ends the call. "You're home early," I observe. "Slow day." She seems nervous, fidgeting with her wedding ring. "Listen, Jack, we need to talk." My heart pounds, but I keep my expression neutral. "About what?" "About us. About where we're headed." "Where do you think we're headed?" She sits on the couch, patting the cushion beside her. I remain standing. "I think we've grown apart," she begins. "We want different things now. I'm building a career, making partner, trying to establish myself in the legal community. You're content running your little garage. My little garage pays half our bills. I know, and I appreciate that. But Jack, don't you want more? Don't you want to grow?" "Grow into what? A guy in a suit who lies to his wife?" Her face flushes. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Just wondering what growth looks like to you." We stare at each other for a long moment. I can see her calculating, trying to figure out how much I know. Finally, she stands. "I'm going out with Jenna tonight. Girls' night. Don't wait up." Jenna Walsh, Alyssa's best friend since college. Also, coincidentally, a woman I dated briefly before meeting Alyssa. That relationship ended badly when I caught Jenna stealing from the garage's cash register. She claimed it was a misunderstanding, but I fired her anyway. "Have fun," I say. After Alyssa leaves, I sit in my garage and plan my next move. I'm not going to confront her yet. First, I want to see exactly what I'm dealing with. I want names, places, evidence that can't be explained away or twisted. I grab my old digital camera and head downtown to the Riverside Hotel, the place mentioned most often in Alyssa's messages. It's a fancy place with valet parking and marble lobbies, the kind of place where lawyers and developers conduct their business. I park across the street and wait. At 8:30, Nate's silver Lexus pulls up to the valet stand. He gets out, straightening his tie, looking around nervously. 5 minutes later, Alyssa's BMW arrives. I watch through my camera lens as they embrace in the parking area. Not a friendly hug between colleagues, but something intimate and passionate. They disappear into the hotel together. I snap pictures until my memory card is full, then drive home and upload everything to my computer. The images are clear, undeniable. My wife of 23 years, the mother of my daughter, kissing another man like I don't exist. But instead of rage, I feel something colder, something more calculating. If Alyssa wants to play games, I'll play games. But I've been fixing broken things my whole life, and I know how to take them apart piece by piece. The next morning, she comes home at dawn, claiming she fell asleep at Jenna's apartment. She showers quickly and leaves for work without eating breakfast. I spend the day researching Nathaniel Pierce. Turns out, he's not as successful as he pretends to be. His development company is leveraged to the hilt, and he's been involved in several questionable land deals. More importantly, he's married with 2 kids. That afternoon, I drive to his office building and follow him to lunch. He meets with 3 men in expensive suits, and their conversation looks tense. I can't hear what they're saying, but their body language suggests Nate's in some kind of trouble. Perfect. I spend the next week gathering intelligence like I'm planning a military operation. Every morning after Alyssa leaves for work, I check her tablet for new messages. Every evening, I follow her to her meetings with Nate. I document everything: times, places, license plates, receipts I find in her purse. The pattern becomes clear. They meet twice a week at the Riverside Hotel, always in room 412. Nate pays with a company credit card, probably writing it off as a business expense. They text constantly throughout the day, sharing inside jokes and making plans. But the worst part isn't the affair itself, it's how they talk about me. Jack's so clueless, I could probably bring you home for dinner and he wouldn't notice. Does he suspect anything? Please. The man thinks the internet is magic. He couldn't catch a cheating wife if she left a trail of breadcrumbs. Maybe we should be more careful anyway. Why? It's not like he's going to do anything about it. Jack's all bark, no bite. Reading those messages feels like swallowing glass, but I force myself to screenshot everything. Evidence, documentation, the foundation of my counterattack. On Friday night, Alyssa announces another girls' night with Jenna. I nod and smile, playing the clueless husband role perfectly. Have fun, honey. I'll probably work on the barracuda. Don't wait up. She kisses my cheek, a perfunctory gesture that makes my skin crawl. After she leaves, I drive to Nate's house in the suburbs. It's a McMansion with a circular driveway and perfectly manicured lawn. His wife's minivan sits next to his Lexus, and I can see children's toys scattered across the backyard. I park down the street and call the house from a burner phone I bought earlier. Pierce Residence, a woman answers. Hi, is this Mrs. Pierce? This is Detective Johnson with the Metro Police. We found your husband's wallet at a downtown hotel and wanted to return it to him. His wallet, but he's right here. Nate, honey, did you lose your wallet? I hear muffled conversation, then Nate's voice. This is Nate Pierce. What's this about a wallet? Sir, we found a wallet with your ID at the Riverside Hotel. The front desk said you were a regular guest there. We wanted to make sure it got back to you safely. Long pause. I think there's been a mistake. I've never stayed at that hotel. Really? That's strange. The desk clerk seemed to know you pretty well. Said you usually stay in room 412 with a blonde woman. Maybe it was someone using your identity. Another pause, longer this time. I'll have to look into that. Thanks for calling. The line goes quiet. I drive home, satisfied with my first small victory. Nate's going to spend the weekend explaining to his wife why the police think he's a regular at a downtown hotel. Saturday morning, my daughter Becca comes downstairs looking hungover and irritated. She's home from college for the weekend, supposedly to do laundry and raid our refrigerator. Dad, can I borrow $50? She asks without preamble. What for? Just stuff. College expenses. I study her face. Becca looks like her mother. Same green eyes, same sharp cheekbones. But she's never been good at lying. How's school going? Fine. She opens the refrigerator and grabs a yogurt. Mom said you've been acting weird lately. Weird how? I don't know. Suspicious, paranoid. She thinks you might be having some kind of midlife crisis. I almost laugh. A midlife crisis, that's interesting. Are you? Because if you're thinking about buying a motorcycle or dating college girls, that would be really embarrassing. No motorcycles, no college girls. I hand her $50 from my wallet. But thanks for the warning about my suspicious behavior. She pockets the money and heads back upstairs, already texting someone on her phone, probably her mother, reporting on our conversation. That afternoon, Alyssa suggests we go out to dinner, just the two of us. She picks an expensive restaurant downtown, the kind of place where she can see and be seen by her professional colleagues. You look nice, I tell her as we're seated. She's wearing a black dress I've never seen before, probably bought with affair money. Thank you. She seems nervous, playing with her napkin and avoiding eye contact. Jack, I've been thinking about our conversation the other day. Which conversation? About growing. About wanting more from life. She leans forward. What if we separated for a while? Just temporarily, to figure things out. Figure what out? Whether we still make each other happy, whether we're still compatible. I sip my wine, buying time to think. Are you saying you want a divorce? I'm saying maybe we should explore our options, see other people, experience life outside this marriage. See other people, I repeat. Like dating? If that's what happens, yes. And you've already thought about who you might want to date? Her cheeks flush slightly. This isn't about anyone specific, Jack. It's about us growing as individuals. Right, growth. I signal the waiter for another bottle of wine. Tell me about Nathaniel Pierce. The color drains from her face. What about him? Just curious. You mention him sometimes. Seems like an interesting guy. He's a client, a business associate. Married? I think so. Why? No reason. Just making conversation. We eat the rest of our dinner in relative silence, both of us pretending everything is normal while the elephant in the room grows larger by the minute. Sunday morning, I wake up to find Alyssa already gone. A note on the kitchen counter says she went to the office to catch up on paperwork. On Sunday. Right. I drive to the Riverside Hotel and park in my usual surveillance spot. Sure enough, both cars are in the parking lot. I take more pictures, documenting their Sunday morning rendezvous. But this time, I don't just watch. I get out of my car and walk across the street to the hotel lobby. The desk clerk is a young guy with carefully styled hair and a name tag that reads Trevor. Excuse me, I say, approaching the counter. I'm supposed to meet my business partner here, but I forgot his room number. Nathaniel Pierce? Trevor checks his computer. Room 412, sir. But I should mention, he's already checked out for today. Checked out? Well, he left about an hour ago. The room is still reserved until this afternoon, though. Is his associate still up there? Blonde woman, about 40? Trevor looks uncomfortable. I'm not supposed to give out information about guests. I slide a 20 across the counter. It's important. Business emergency. He palms the money. Yes, sir. She's still in the room. Thanks. I take the elevator to the 4th floor and walk down the hallway until I find room 412. I can hear voices inside. Alyssa's voice and a man's voice I don't recognize. Not Nate. I press my ear to the door and listen. Told you this was getting too complicated, the unknown voice says. It's under control, Alyssa replies. Jack doesn't suspect anything. Are you sure? Because Nate got a weird phone call Friday night. Something about police finding his wallet here. That's impossible. Nate's never lost his wallet. That's what I'm saying. Someone's playing games. My heart pounds as I realize there's a third person involved in this conspiracy. Someone I haven't identified yet. Maybe we should cool things down for a while, the voice continues. Absolutely not. I'm too close to getting what I want. Jack's already talking about separation. Once that's official, we can move to the next phase. And if he fights it? He won't. Jack's not a fighter. He's a mechanic who thinks small and acts smaller. By the time he figures out what's happening, it'll be too late. I back away from the door, my mind racing. This isn't just an affair. It's a coordinated plan to destroy my marriage and probably take everything I've worked for. But they're wrong about one thing. I am a fighter. I just haven't started fighting yet. Monday morning, I wake up with perfect clarity. The hurt and confusion of the past few weeks has crystallized into something harder, sharper. If Alyssa wants to play chess, I'll play chess. But she's about to discover that the quiet mechanic she's been underestimating has a few moves of his own. First stop, my lawyer. Pete Kowalski runs a small practice downtown, handling divorces and personal injury cases. We went to high school together, and he's one of the few attorneys I trust completely. His office smells like coffee and old paperwork, a refreshing change from the marble and glass temples where Alyssa works. Jack Morrison, Pete grins as I walk in. What brings you to my humble establishment? I need advice about protecting my assets. His expression turns serious. Trouble at home? I tell him everything. The affair, the messages, the hotel meetings, the conversation I overheard. Pete takes notes, occasionally whistling under his breath. How long has this been going on? He asks. Months, maybe longer. I only found out 2 weeks ago. And you've been documenting everything? I hand him a folder containing printed screenshots, photographs, and a timeline of events. Pete flips through it, nodding approvingly. This is good work, Jack. Very thorough. He looks up. What do you want to accomplish here? I want to protect my business, my house, and my reputation. In that order. What about the marriage? The marriage is over. I just want to control how it ends. Pete leans back in his chair. Okay, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to quietly move some assets around. Your business, your personal accounts, anything that's solely in your name. Second, we're going to continue gathering evidence. And third, we're going to let Alyssa make the first move. Why wait? Because right now she thinks she's in control. Let her file for divorce first. Let her make demands. Then we'll hit back with everything we've got. I spend the rest of Monday morning at the bank, moving money from our joint accounts into a business account that only I can access. It's all perfectly legal. The money came from my garage, and I'm just reorganizing my business finances. That afternoon, I get an unexpected visitor at the garage. Jenna Walsh stands in my doorway, looking nervous and overdressed for a mechanic's shop. Hello, Jack. Jenna. I don't stop working on the engine in front of me. What brings you here? I wanted to talk to you about Alyssa. What about her? She's going through a difficult time right now, questioning her life choices, wondering if she's happy. I finally look up. Jenna's aged well, still attractive, still manipulative. And I think you should give her some space to figure things out. Space like a separation? Maybe. Would that be so terrible? I wipe my hands on a rag, studying her face. Jenna, are you here as Alyssa's friend, or is there something else going on? What do you mean? I mean, you never liked me. Even back when we dated, you were always pushing boundaries, testing limits. Then you got caught stealing from me and I fired you. Now, 20 years later, you're suddenly concerned about my marriage? Her mask slips slightly. That was a long time ago, Jack. People change. Do they? We stare at each other for a moment. Then she turns and walks away without another word. That evening, Alyssa comes home in a terrible mood. She slams doors, bangs pots around in the kitchen, and generally acts like someone who's been backed into a corner. Bad day at the office? I ask. The worst. She opens a bottle of wine and pours herself a large glass. Sometimes I wonder why I became a lawyer. The money's good. It's not about money, Jack. It's about respect, recognition, building something that matters. Your work matters. Does it? Or am I just another cog in someone else's machine? She's fishing for something. Sympathy, validation, maybe an opening to bring up separation again. Instead, I change the subject. Becca called. She needs money for textbooks. How much? $300. Alyssa reaches for her purse, then stops. That's strange. My credit card was declined today at lunch. Declined? That's weird. Maybe you should call the bank. I will. She tries to look casual, but I can see the worry in her eyes. In the meantime, can you cover Becca's textbooks? Of course. Later that night, while Alyssa's in the shower, I check her tablet again. New messages from Nate, and they're not happy ones. My wife is asking questions about the hotel. She wants to see my credit card statements. Stall her. Tell her you'll get copies from the office. This is getting too complicated. Maybe we should take a break. Don't you dare abandon me now. I'm handling Jack, but I need time. What if he's suspicious? Trust me, I know my husband. He's not smart enough to be suspicious. I screenshot everything, adding it to my growing collection of evidence. Then I do something that might be considered petty. I change the password on our home Wi-Fi network. The next morning, Alyssa can't get online. "The internet's down," she complains. "Works fine for me," I say, checking my phone. "Maybe restart your devices?" She tries everything, restarting her tablet, her laptop, her phone. Nothing works. "I'll call the cable company," I offer. "Thanks. I really need to check my email." "You can use the computer in my office if it's urgent." "That's okay. I'll wait." She leaves for work, frustrated and disconnected. It's a small victory, but it feels good to disrupt her routine, even temporarily. That afternoon, I get a call from Rico. "Jack, you need to be careful. Word's getting around that you and Alyssa are having problems." "What kind of word?" "The usual small-town gossip. People are taking sides, making assumptions. Some folks are saying you're the problem, that you're not good enough for a successful woman like Alyssa." "And what are you saying?" "I'm saying people don't know the whole story, but perception matters, especially in a divorce." He's right. In a small city like ours, public opinion can be more important than legal facts. If Alyssa controls the narrative, she can paint me as the bad guy, the jealous, controlling husband who couldn't handle his wife's success. What do you suggest? Start telling your side of the story, carefully, quietly. Let people know you're not the villain here. That evening, I stopped by Murphy's Tavern, a local bar where mechanics, cops, and other blue-collar workers gather after work. The owner, Danny Murphy, has known me for 15 years. "Jack!" Danny waves me over. "Haven't seen you in a while. How's business?" "Can't complain. Cars keep breaking, I keep fixing them." "And Alyssa, still climbing the corporate ladder?" "Something like that." I order a beer and lean against the bar. "Danny, can I ask you something?" "Shoot. If you found out your wife was cheating on you, what would you do?" Danny's expression turns serious. "Hypothetically?" "Sure. Hypothetically. I'd probably want to hurt somebody, but then I'd remember that revenge is a dish best served cold." "Meaning?" "Meaning I'd make sure she lost everything that mattered to her. Her reputation, her money, her friends. I'd destroy her systematically and legally." That sounds harsh. Marriage is a contract, Jack. When someone breaks that contract, there should be consequences. I nurse my beer and listen to the conversations around me. Danny's right. Reputation matters in a small city. People remember who they can trust and who they can't. By the time I get home, Alyssa's already asleep, or pretending to be asleep. I sit in my garage and plan my next moves. Tomorrow, I'm going to start building my own narrative, not through gossip or rumors, but through actions. I'm going to show this town exactly who Alyssa Morrison really is. Wednesday morning brings the first real test of my new strategy. I'm having coffee at Mel's Diner when Councilman Bob Stevens slides into the booth across from me. Bob's wife Linda works at Alyssa's law firm as a paralegal. "Morning, Jack. Mind if I join you?" "Free country." Bob orders coffee and fidgets with his napkin. "Linda mentioned that you and Alyssa might be going through a rough patch." "Did she now?" "Look, Jack, we've known each other for years. If there's anything I can do to help, appreciate the offer, Bob, but some things a man has to handle himself." "Of course, it's just, well, Linda's concerned about Alyssa. Says she's been working late, seems stressed, maybe not making the best decisions." This is interesting. "What kind of decisions?" "Professional ones, client relationships, that sort of thing. Linda thinks Alyssa might be getting too close to some of her clients." "Too close how?" Bob lowers his voice. "The kind of close that could hurt her career if the wrong people found out." I sip my coffee, processing this information. That would be unfortunate. Very unfortunate, especially for someone trying to make partner. After Bob leaves, I drive to the garage and call Pete Kowalski. "I need you to do some research on Nathaniel Pierce," I tell him. "What kind of research?" business dealings, financial status, any legal troubles, and find out if he's ever been disciplined by the real estate commission. I'll make some calls. That afternoon, I get my answer. Pete calls back with a treasure trove of information. Your boy Nate is in serious trouble, Pete says. His company owes money to 3 different banks. He's being investigated for fraudulent land deals, and his real estate license is under review. How serious is serious? Bankruptcy serious. Maybe criminal charges serious. And if he's involved with a lawyer who's helping him navigate these problems? That lawyer could be looking at ethics violations, disbarment, maybe even conspiracy charges. Perfect. That evening, I'm working late in the garage when Alyssa comes storming in. Her face is flushed with anger, her usually perfect hair disheveled. We need to talk, she announces. I'm listening. Someone's been spreading rumors about me at work. Malicious gossip designed to hurt my reputation. What kind of rumors? The kind that could destroy my career. She paces back and forth between my workbenches. Someone told the senior partners that I'm having inappropriate relationships with clients. Are you? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Alyssa stops pacing and stares at me. How can you even ask me that? Pretty easily, actually. Are you having inappropriate relationships with clients? Of course not. I'm a professional. So these are just rumors? Completely false? Completely false. I nod and return to the engine I'm working on. Then you have nothing to worry about. Jack, I'm serious. Someone is trying to sabotage me. Any idea who? I think it might be Linda Stevens. She's always been jealous of my success. Linda Stevens. I consider this. The woman who's worked at your firm for 15 years without a single complaint or disciplinary action. That Linda Stevens? People aren't always what they seem. No, they're not. Another loaded silence. Alyssa watches me work, trying to read my expression. Jack, are you having me followed? I look up, genuinely surprised. Followed? By who? I don't know. Private investigators, maybe. Honey, do I look like I have money for private investigators? Then how do you explain? Explain what? She starts to say something, then stops. Nothing. Forget it. After she leaves, I call Rico and ask him to meet me at the gym. I need to hit something, and a heavy bag is safer than my wife's lover. You're playing with fire, Rico warns as I wrap my hands. Alyssa's smart, and she's getting suspicious. Let her be suspicious. What's she going to do, hire a lawyer? She is a lawyer. Good point. I spend an hour pounding the heavy bag, working out weeks of frustration and anger. Each punch feels like a small victory, a release of pressure that's been building since I first discovered those text messages. Feel better? Rico asks as I unwrap my hands. Much better. Good. Because tomorrow's going to be interesting. Why? Because I heard through the grapevine that Nate Pierce's wife filed for divorce today. I stop unwrapping my hands. She did what? Filed for divorce. Apparently, she hired a private investigator and got pictures of Nate with another woman at the Riverside hotel. Pictures? Very clear pictures, according to my source. Pictures that show Nate's face and the face of the woman he was with. My heart pounds, but not from the workout. Does Alyssa know? If she doesn't now, she will soon. Small town, big mouths. I drive home with my mind racing. If Mrs. Pierce has photos of Nate and Alyssa together, those photos could surface in divorce proceedings, public records, court documents that anyone can access. Alyssa's car isn't in the driveway when I get home, which means she's either working late or meeting with Nate to discuss damage control. I check her tablet. No new messages. But that doesn't mean anything. They might be communicating through different channels now. At midnight, she finally comes home. She looks exhausted and worried. Long day? I ask. The longest. She pours herself a glass of wine with shaking hands. Jack, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Okay. Have you been in contact with Mrs. Pierce, Nate's wife? I don't even know Mrs. Pierce. But you know who Nate is. You've mentioned him. Real estate guy, right? Right. She studies my face. Someone told Mrs. Pierce about the hotel, about Nate meeting clients there. That's unfortunate for Nate. It's unfortunate for everyone involved. Including you? Another long pause. Including me. Finally, some honesty. I almost respect her for it. Alyssa, are you in some kind of trouble? I might be. Professional trouble. Anything I can do to help? She looks at me with something that might be gratitude or might be calculation. Actually, there is something. Name it. I might need an alibi for certain dates, times when I was supposedly working late or meeting with clients. What kind of alibi? The kind where you tell people I was home with you instead of wherever people think I was. I pretend to consider this. That would be lying. It would be protecting your wife. From what? From people who want to destroy our marriage. The irony is so thick I can taste it. Alyssa wants me to lie to protect the affair that's already destroyed our marriage. I'll think about it, I tell her. Don't think too long. I need to know where you stand. Where I stand on what? On us. On our marriage. On whether you're going to fight for what we have or let other people tear us apart. I look at my wife of 23 years, this woman who's been lying to me for months, who's been planning to leave me, who thinks I'm too stupid to figure out her game. I'll always fight for what's mine, Alyssa. Always. She smiles for the first time in weeks. I'm glad to hear that. After she goes to bed, I sit in my garage and plan the final phase of my campaign. Alyssa thinks I'm going to help her cover up the affair. Instead, I'm going to make sure everyone in town knows exactly what she's been doing. But first, I need to have a conversation with Mrs. Pierce. Thursday morning, I drive to the address Pete gave me for Mrs. Pierce. It's a modest house in an older neighborhood with a for sale sign in the front yard and children's bicycles on the porch. Margaret Pierce answers the door, looking tired and suspicious. She's younger than I expected, maybe 35, with brown hair and intelligent eyes. Mrs. Pierce, my name is Jack Morrison. I think we need to talk. About what? About your husband and my wife. She studies my face for a moment, then steps aside to let me in. The house is in chaos, boxes everywhere, furniture covered with sheets, the unmistakable signs of a life being dismantled. Coffee? She offers. Please. We sit at her kitchen table, two strangers brought together by betrayal. How long have you known? She asks. About 2 weeks. You? 3 months. I hired a private investigator after Nate started working late every night and coming home smelling like perfume. The investigator got photos? Hundreds of them. Your wife and my husband at hotels, restaurants, her apartment. They weren't exactly discreet. Her apartment? Margaret raises an eyebrow. You didn't know about the apartment? My stomach drops. What apartment? Downtown, above the antique shop on Main Street. She's been renting it for 6 months. 6 months. Alyssa's been planning this for 6 months, maintaining a secret apartment where she can meet her lover. The scope of her deception is staggering. Mrs. Pierce, Margaret, what are your plans now? Divorce, obviously. Take Nate for everything he's worth, which isn't much. His business is going under, and he's about to be indicted for fraud. Indicted? The FBI raided his office yesterday. Something about falsifying loan documents and bribing city officials. She sips her coffee. Your wife might want to distance herself from him. I don't think she knows about the FBI yet. She will soon. It'll be in tomorrow's paper. We talk for another hour, sharing information and comparing notes. Margaret shows me some of the photographs her investigator took. Clear, damning images of Alyssa and Nate together. What are you going to do with these? I ask. Whatever it takes to protect my children and get a fair settlement. She looks at me directly. What are you going to do? I'm still deciding. Well, decide quickly. Once this FBI thing hits the news, everyone involved is going to be under scrutiny. I drive home with my head spinning. An FBI investigation changes everything. If Alyssa's been helping Nate with his fraudulent schemes, she could be facing criminal charges along with professional sanctions. That afternoon, I get a call from Pete. Jack, we need to meet, now. What's wrong? Just get to my office. Pete's waiting for me with a grim expression and a copy of the local newspaper. Tomorrow's early edition, he says, sliding it across his desk. The headline reads, Local Developer Arrested in Fraud Scheme. Below it is a photo of Nate being led away in handcuffs, and a smaller photo of his office building with FBI agents carrying boxes of evidence. It gets worse, Pete continues. According to my sources, the FBI is looking at anyone who helped Nate with legal paperwork over the past 2 years. Including Alyssa? Especially Alyssa. She handled several of his real estate transactions. I scan the article, looking for any mention of my wife. Her name doesn't appear, but the investigation is ongoing. What does this mean for me? It means you need to completely separate yourself from Alyssa's legal problems. Financially, professionally, personally. If she goes down, you can't go down with her. How do I do that? File for divorce, today, before she has a chance to implicate you in anything. I stare at the newspaper photo of Nate in handcuffs. 2 weeks ago, he was a successful businessman having an affair with my wife. Now he's a federal criminal facing years in prison. Pete, I want to file for divorce, but I want to do it publicly. I want everyone in town to know why. That's risky. It could look like you're trying to embarrass her. I am trying to embarrass her. She spent months telling people I'm not good enough for her, that I'm holding her back, that she deserves better. Now everyone's going to find out what better looks like. Pete nods slowly. Okay, but we do this smart. We file the papers, hold a press conference, and present you as the wronged husband who's been trying to save his marriage. When? Tomorrow morning, right after the FBI story breaks. I drive home to find Alyssa pacing around the living room, talking frantically on her phone. No, I can't comment on an ongoing investigation, she's saying. You'll have to contact the firm's public relations department. She sees me and quickly ends the call. Reporters, she explains. Someone leaked the story about Nate early. What story about Nate? She looks at me suspiciously. You haven't heard? Heard what? Nate was arrested by the FBI, fraud charges. His business was apparently a front for some kind of money laundering scheme. I try to look shocked. That's terrible. Are you involved? Of course not. I just handled some routine paperwork for him. Routine paperwork? Real estate transactions. Perfectly legal. Then you have nothing to worry about. Right. She doesn't sound convinced. Jack, I might need to stay at Jenna's for a few days while this blows over. Why? Because reporters are going to be calling here, asking questions about my relationship with Nate. It's better if I'm not available. What kind of relationship did you have with Nate? Professional. Strictly professional. I nod and head toward my garage. I'm sure it was. That evening, while Alyssa packs a bag for her stay at Jenna's, I call Rico. Turn on Channel 7, I tell him. Why? Just do it. The local news is running a special report on Nate's arrest. They show footage of FBI agents carrying boxes out of his office, interviews with shocked business associates, and a statement from the U.S. Attorney's Office promising more arrests to come. Holy hell, Rico whispers. Your wife picked a real winner. Gets better. Tomorrow morning I'm filing for divorce and holding a press conference. A press conference? Pete's idea. Control the narrative. Get my side of the story out first. Jack, are you sure about this? Once you go public, there's no going back. I'm sure. Alyssa wanted to play games, so we're going to play games. But we're playing by my rules now. Friday morning arrives gray and cold, matching my mood perfectly. I meet Pete at the courthouse at 8 a.m. to file the divorce papers. By 8:30, we're standing on the courthouse steps with a small crowd of reporters who showed up expecting more news about the FBI investigation. "Ladies and gentlemen," Pete begins, "my client, Jack Morrison, is filing for divorce from his wife, attorney Alyssa Morrison, citing irreconcilable differences and adultery." The reporters perk up immediately. This is a better story than they expected. Mr. Morrison has learned that his wife has been conducting an extramarital affair with Nathaniel Pierce, the real estate developer who was arrested yesterday by the FBI. While Mr. Morrison cannot comment on any ongoing federal investigation, he wants the public to know that he had no knowledge of any illegal activities and is cooperating fully with authorities. A reporter raises her hand. "Mr. Morrison, how long have you known about the affair?" I step forward. "I discovered it 2 weeks ago. I've been trying to save my marriage, but recent events have made that impossible." "Are you concerned about your wife's involvement in the FBI investigation?" "I'm concerned about anyone who might have broken the law, but my focus right now is on protecting my business and my reputation." "What do you want people to know about you?" "I want them to know that I'm a hard-working man who's been faithful to his wife for 23 years. I built my business from nothing, I pay my taxes, and I've never been in trouble with the law. I don't deserve to have my name dragged through the mud because of other people's bad decisions." The press conference lasts 20 minutes. By noon, the story is all over local news and social media. By evening, it's picked up by regional outlets. My phone rings constantly, friends offering support, customers assuring me they'll continue bringing their cars to my garage, even a few marriage proposals from women who apparently find recently divorced mechanics irresistible. But the most satisfying call comes from Danny Murphy at the tavern. "Jack, you magnificent bastard," he says. "You just became the most popular man in town." "How do you figure?" "Because everyone's been watching Alyssa act like she's too good for the rest of us, and now they know she's just another cheating wife who got caught. You, on the other hand, are the loyal husband who got screwed over. People love an underdog." That evening, I'm working in my garage when a car pulls into the driveway. It's not Alyssa, it's Jenna, and she looks furious. "You son of a—" she starts, then catches herself. "What have you done?" "Filed for divorce. It's a pretty common legal procedure." "You know what I mean. The press conference, the reporters, turning this into a public spectacle. Alyssa made it public when she started having an affair with a federal criminal. She didn't know he was a criminal. Didn't she?" I set down my wrench and face her directly. "Jenna, how long have you been helping her plan this?" "Plan what?" "The affair, the secret apartment, the exit strategy from our marriage." Her face goes pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. You've been waiting 20 years to get back at me for firing you. What better revenge than helping my wife cheat on me?" "You're paranoid." "Am I? Or am I just finally paying attention?" We stare at each other for a long moment. Then Jenna turns and walks back to her car. "This isn't over, Jack," she calls over her shoulder. "Yes, it is," I reply. "It's been over for a long time. I just didn't realize it." As her taillights disappear down the street, I feel something I haven't felt in months. Peace. The storm is passing, and I'm still standing. Tomorrow, I'll start rebuilding my life. Tonight, I'm going to finish restoring this barracuda and remember what it feels like to fix something that's actually worth saving. The engine purrs to life on the first try, smooth and powerful. Some things, when you take them apart and put them back together properly, run better than they ever did before. I think I'm about to find out if the same thing is true for people.